how we build our models too. Each person has kind of their own little component that they build out in the models, and we do a lot of group modeling within the company. And we take that functionally through many departments in our company. So I'll start out by just telling you guys a little bit about Litehouse. A lot of you guys have been here, but we're dressings. We manufacture dressings, dips, sauces, many other things in the refrigerated salad dressing area of the grocery store. And we've been in business for 50 plus years. Started as a restaurant actually in Hope, Idaho. And the father ran the restaurant. He came up with a great recipe for blue cheese. The two brothers worked in the restaurant. The sons worked in the restaurant. And people would come from miles around with their mason jar to buy the blue cheese because it was so good. So the two sons decided one day that they were going to try to sell dressing. So that was over 50 years ago. They are still on the board of directors, the two brothers. And that's how Litehouse got started. So our goal is to become the #1 refrigerated salad dressing really in the world is what we would love. But right now we're primarily in US, Canada, Mexico. So that's where we're at right now. So our big push lately has been to try to convert people from the center of the store and the shelf-stable dressing with all the preservatives and terrible stuff over to the refrigerated section because we have no preservatives, MSG, and with the millennials and the health trends, we really believe that there's a big opportunity to get people to understand that they need to be eating better salad dressing. So, and the refrigerated category only represents 15% of all dressing sales. So there's a big opportunity for us to convert people. But with this, we are seeing like a big movement of customers and consumers coming over from the center store. It's really resulted in a tremendous amount of growth for us with this marketing campaign that we've done. And in addition to that, our value-added channel, which is our channel, because we sell into restaurants, we sell into grocery stores, and we also have our value-added channel, which is where we're adding value to somebody else's product. So we'll be a veggie dip inside somebody else's veggie tray, or a pillow of dressing inside of a salad, a bag of salad. And we're the sole supplier for Fresh Express. So if you buy a bag of a salad kit for Fresh Express, we do all of their dressings. But the value-added channel has really been the fastest growing channel. We've experienced like 30 to 40% year-over-year growth for the last 2 to 3 years. And it's, you see the chopped up veggies in the store, and they're with a sauce packet, and you go home and you have homemade stir fry or whatever. That convenience and the, wanting to say you cooked something from scratch and add a dressing, that's our fastest growing channel of business. So with that, it has definitely created many challenges for us. This growth has. The last, really 4 years has just been unprecedented growth. And so with that comes all of the challenges. We're outgrowing our facilities. Our production lines have almost doubled in the last 3 years, the amount of lines we've had to add just to keep up with the growth. And capacity, which has never really been an issue for us. We have 3 facilities throughout the U.S., and capacity has never really been an issue. All of a sudden, like overnight, became an issue. So just like with anything else, we use Quantrix for many, many things in our company. We started financial modeling with Quantrix. We moved in, we do all of our cost accounting stuff, budgeting, analytics, sales analytics, marketing analytics, operational analytics. We use it for everything. So when capacity became a problem, our CEO said, get those accountants in here with that Quantrix thing, and they can figure out our capacity problem. And so,
That's about how you said it, too.
yeah, it is. he said, that Quantrix can do anything. Let's get that involved. And so we were all reassigned for 2 weeks. We kind of locked ourselves in a room and took all of the capacity modeling that we did, which was really in Excel and very basic, very inaccurate. Obviously, we ran out of capacity without knowing it, so it wasn't really working. And we just, converted the whole thing over to Quantrix. So that's why we used Quantrix in this situation. And so really what we were using, our archaic Excel version, I mean, it was just a monster. Rich will talk to the size of it. But it was inaccurate, error-prone, and didn't tell us that we had a problem coming down the pipeline. And for us, our equipment, when we have to order our production lines, it's a 6 to 8 month lead time on those lines. So we really found ourselves in a situation where we started not servicing our customers, we were shorting, and that's not something Litehouse ever has done in the history of our company. We really pride ourselves on customer service. So the model we were using in Excel was really every time you wanted to look at capacity, you had to go download all the information and really build it from the ground up. I mean, anytime assumptions changed, it was, a week-long process for you to rebuild some capacity views. So that's the situation we were in when we decided to convert to Quantrix. So now, we have a very sophisticated model, which these guys built out, and we're linking it into the sales and operational planning process. So we have all the inputs coming from that. Kim focuses on the sales side of it and the sales forecast. And whereas before we were only looking 3 months out, now we're looking 18 months out with Quantrix. So we really have the ability to get in front of capacity and make sure we're ordering all of the right equipment and everything. So that kind of sets the scene for why Quantrix, and then I'm going to let these guys go through some of the specifics of how we built the model. I think you're up, Kim. Yep.
So she mentioned that we go, we look, instead of short term, we're looking farther out into the future. So we have an operational forecaster, and we have operational forecaster software that we use, but it doesn't do a really good job of looking out a year, 5 years. We were already using Quantrix in the finance department to look out, into the future. We were forecasting out our whole P&L, up to 5 years. And we've been doing it for a couple of years. We're doing a pretty good job of it. So when we found ourselves in this situation where we needed to, quickly react to these capacity challenges, I kind of just took the existing model that we already had. It was pretty high level. I didn't really get myself too involved in the weeds when I'm doing financial planning. I don't really care about the individual items. We have over 800 items, so I more look at like the big groups of things. I want to know how much 13-ounce dressing we're going to sell, not how many SKUs of coleslaw, really, 13-ounce dressing. So I had to take my model and kind of push it out to a little more granular level so that our operational staff could use this information. And it was actually pretty easy. I built a secondary model and basically took my sales forecast model that was high level and then converted just the sales into more of a volume-based forecast. Using historical, I pushed that down to a plant level, and it's really just a push-button update now to get that farther out forecast for the operational people to use. So it worked pretty good, and it was fairly quick to implement, seeing as how we didn't have very long to react.
Right. When the CEO said get those accountants on it, he said, so can you guys have that by tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe 2 weeks. It was 2 weeks.
So what we did is we rebuilt a capacity model. I used to do the Excel version, which they kind of touched on, and it was pretty difficult. So this is basically what I use every day in Quantrix. Kim loads her part, so I can do a refresh on the NPS forecast, and it'll give me a new one, so I can update it. Fairly easy there. I make sure I update the model to the current month. Then we built these two items in here, which saved me a ton of time. This is supplemental sales growth. So if I have a salesman who thinks he's going to get, let's say, Fresh Express, or I have in here Quantrix Group to buy product, I can say, they can tell me what's going to be 5 million units over the next 12 months. I can plug it in there, throw it on a production line, and I can push the data to Tableau, which is, I got a note here that says the power of Quantrix coupled with the visualization of Tableau. It's an incredible feature. I know, it's right there. And then I can link it to the Tableau report. So this here, I mean, it took some time to build initially, but it has saved me hundreds of hours of work all the time, and the errors that used to be writing behind it as well. So this has been a great update to the way we've been doing our system.
I'll bore you with just a couple details here. I think Quantrix is beautiful because, as you know, as you use it, I think it really just kind of gets out of the way. It just kind of lets you do things that you've never been able to do before with ease. And that's the beauty of this software. It gets out of the way. You don't have to do a lot of manual manipulation with it. You just kind of write your logic and you just let her ride. So with that, we have two models. We have packaging, which is our, say, our retail bottles or our pillow packs. So that's packaging. And we have, in 2014, we had 26 lines in packaging. Right now we have 46, and by the end of Q2 next year, we're going to have 55 packaging lines, so we're talking double growth in packaging lines. So with that, we're able to model everything in Quantrix with, I think that says 126 formulas for our entire operations with just packaging. So I think that's fantastic. Also, formulation capacity, that's where our mixed decks or our mixed tanks are, our mill decks. With that, as you can see, it's 119 formulas that we're modeling that with. And again, these are just really fast models. They take just a couple minutes to update and to churn through the calculations for us. I have a little stat there on that lesser program, also known as Excel. The dinosaur that Don was using before to calculate capacity was only for formulation, or only for packaging. We did not have a formulation model up until a couple months ago. And with that, that was 8,600 formulas across 13 spreadsheets. So,
And always inaccurate.
yeah, and I mean, the thing,
It was as close as
I would show it to you, but it would,
Excel, what do you expect?
it'd make you quiver if I showed it to you. But with that, we had to calculate average units per hour. Now, I don't expect you to follow all of this, but we have on our machines something called CDC Factory that takes measurements of throughput as well as time. Okay, and with that, we're able to aggregate it and crunch it and figure out an average units per hour, which is important for us in our capacity model. Not every line that we have has CDC Factory installed, so we gather information a different way with that. So we have two data sources. We have CDC Factory for some information, and then we have not CDC Factory for other information. And then also, sometimes our machines are new, or we know that a line's down, so we don't want to use either one of those data sources. We want to just apply some manual number to it, right? That we kind of think that's the number that it should be, or that's the nameplate capacity. So what we had to do is we had to build out that logic in our capacity models, and it looks like this, that if we don't have CDC Factory installed, then return average units per hour for the part code factory from another data source. Else, if CDC Factory installed equals manual, so we're saying that it needs to come from a manual place, then pull in some manual override. Else, if we do have CDC Factory installed and then the machine and part have no value, then take the machine average, otherwise take the average units per hour for the machine and part. So follow that. Don had to explain that to me about 6 times, but I eventually got it. But look at this. If you did this in that lesser program, this is kind of what it would look like. You've all seen this before. We've all spent countless hours, going through a formula that looks something like this, right? It's painful, absolutely painful. But I don't want to hammer on that lesser program too much. I will give it some credit in the fact that it does offer color, right? You can hit F2 and you can see where it's going sometimes, unless it's on another tab, then you can't see it. right? But I don't want to be too hard because it does offer color. But the beauty of it is, though, and this even got better yesterday with 2018, with the ability to tab in my formulas and kind of format the layout of my formulas, and with autocomplete, I can do this with ease in Quantrix now because I have logical statements, such as a case statement. I don't have a ton of if statements going on. I can do formula syntax highlighting. I'm really curious to see how you use formula syntax highlighting. We've got it set up so that anytime we reference a different matrix, we have that being highlighted in bold so that we can see just automatically that, hey, that's in a different matrix. I don't need to be looking in this matrix. Also, I can add notes, right? I can explain exactly why I had to add something, why I did it that way, so that when I come back to it, and also, of course, the dependency inspector is fantastic with the latest release and the ability just to hover and to step through stuff and see it evaluate. So really, again, Quantrix gets out of the way and allows you to see the information and model the information exactly the way you need to see it.
Yeah, me.
Yep.
Okay, now that we've talked to you about the power of Quantrix and what we've done with Quantrix in respect to capacity modeling, we use a program called Tableau in order to chart our information, and it's kind of doing it a disservice. Tableau is so much more than just charting. And these are three of the charts that Kim put together from a sales perspective to show the decision makers and our leadership and those that are doing capacity modeling kind of what's going on across a certain time frame. And the nice thing about Tableau is it not only shows you different types of charts, but you have the option to take all that Quantrix information that's uploaded to Tableau, and you can do scenarios with it. So unlike a traditional chart where you just have kind of a set data set, with this you can do these little check boxes, and you can pick, as an example, the blue bars are just our baseline volume, what we project without any additional anticipated volume across the next 18 months is just the blue. And then we can go back and we can maybe, we think we're going to get project 2 or project 3 or project 4. We can individually click over here to see that data just on top of the baseline data. So we can select individual projects on top of baseline, or we can see the entire thing. So that's a really nice feature of Tableau. And I love maps. That's why I threw this one in. I found there was a gentleman a couple years ago that was doing transportation models. The first time I saw Tableau, and I saw the map, and then I fell in love with Tableau. But the nice thing about Tableau is it's not only a chart, you can also see things from a map perspective. So this particular chart that Kim put together, I think it's wonderful. It's something similar. It doesn't have a time scale on it per se. It's just an 18-month snapshot of where our sales are going to be from a state perspective. And just like the other chart, you have the option of clicking on some boxes to see how the sales are performing at the state level. We can pick individual states or see them all collectively like you're seeing. Or we can do it by line of business. Or like the other chart that I showed, we can do just baseline volume, or we can do projected sales volume on top of our baseline. And I think this is the last one from a sales perspective. I think Dawn put it together. And it is, it's not a chart, it's just a collection of data. And it's our unit forecast by production facility, by state. And we can adjust, across the top it's got the dates, but we can adjust our date ranges with the slider bar, which is really nice. So let's say we don't want to look at May 2017 to December 2018. We can move one of the sliders to maybe see June, July, August, September, or we can move this slider and maybe we don't want to end on December, maybe we just want to see it through June. So it's really nice, it's really quick. And we can see the data differently quickly. And then you can...
We also have this, just to interject, we also have this is all through Quantrix, but we also have this in hours forecast. And so then we take the hours forecast that's kicked out of the capacity model and we go sit down with HR and do all the planning for all of the labor forecasting. So the model is stretching out into many functions within the company to help us turn the headlights on for the business.
And then my last point was, just like the other charts that we showed, you can click and unclick states if you want to see it like a detailed state view. So that is Tableau from a sales perspective.
And 90% of, I would say 90% of our Tableau usage in Litehouse, and we use it a lot, is powered by Quantrix. So Tableau is just visualization software. It does a nice job of visualizing data, but the bones of the data and the infrastructure is all coming from Quantrix. Within most usage of Tableau within our company is powered by Quantrix. It's a good partnership.
So one of the things, the gentleman earlier this morning was talking about the Gantt charts, and so what we had a problem with was how do we install new machines and see the impact of what that new capacity is gonna be like? And so, driven out of Quantrix, presented on this awesome canvas, that's a visualization tool of Tableau, we're able to put the new machines in, predict run rates and throughputs, and in this report, we can present out to the executive team or whatever, here's kind of our timeline of equipment and locations. So this is the basic model that we present out to all the teams. So you can see the impact of new production lines. So we have a new production line that comes in here, you can see the production hours increasing. So the different colors show us different levels of capacity. This is a regular 5-day week, this is a 6-day production week, and this is a 7-day production week. So if we have to go to 7 days a week, we know we need to add staffing. Now, if we come in here and we're at 99% of capacity in this 6-day a week, we know that we're gonna be starting to hit our head against the wall, and we're gonna need to start looking at additional equipment. So then we bring in our piece of equipment, you can see the capacity increase and the hours become manageable. On the model in Tableau, we have different options that we can do. We can change our baseline for percentages of hours, we can change our date range, we can change our site. This is presenting all of our production lines. And like I think Rich talked about, back in 2012, we had 25 production lines. By the end of Q2 next year, we're gonna have 55 production lines. It's just unprecedented growth in machine adds for the
And
different
before
facilities.
that, we didn't add a machine for
Every 3 years.
years. I mean, it was every 3 years,
Yeah.
but it was one
One.
machine.
We put in
And
4
so-
machines in our Utah plant last week.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
just to give you kind of an idea of explosive growth. This is a packaging capacity model for just one of the sites. This white line was something that we were able to calculate through Quantrix, and this goes back and it looks at the last year and it says, what was the best performance ever on that line in the last year for a whole month? And then we say, if we performed at that best performance, that's really all the production hours we would have to run. But because of shorting customers, smaller production runs, cutting into middle runs to try and meet orders through this crunch, this is now how long it's actually taken us from that white line. So it kind of shows us, as we add machines, we're gonna start closing that gap and regaining that capacity. This is a formulation capacity model presented in Tableau because it's a great visualization tool for Quantrix. So this was a nice one. So at a quick glance, you can say in our Utah facility, June and July of this year, we're really tight on capacity because it's red, but then all of a sudden we drop down to green. Green is a manageable production capacity, but then you see it happening again as we get later into next year. And so this gives us an idea for staffing, additional mixing equipment, and process changes to help improve that.
And even because we have so much seasonality in our business, so being able to look 18 months out tells us, oh, well, maybe we can make this product a month or two before we really need to make it. We can pull some of that volume forward, so we're also doing that with it.
Right, or produce it in another facility that has adequate
Right.
capacity during that month as well.
Right.
So the one slide before this was all of the one site combined together. This is just like the production model we have. This is all of our, we call them fresh decks, so the delicious salad dressing that we sell are produced on fresh decks instead of the other junk people think. This combines them all together, or you can break it out by individual platform and see the impact that each platform is gonna have. Some of our facilities, one platform might be able to make certain types of products, but not all the products. Charity?
Yeah, so this is just one example of the way Litehouse has used Quantrix, but really Quantrix, I mean, you guys said it in your mission statement yesterday. I kind of think you stole it from me, but Quantrix has revolutionized the way Litehouse has done business. And so we are constantly looking for different ways to use Quantrix, even just within the capacity model. It's like, okay, well, let's turn that into a floor space capacity model. How many pallets can we get in there? What's the fleet optimization and all of these things? So we have plans for all of these kind of bolt-on models. So all of our models can interact, and that's how we build them, but they're not all in one model, so that so multiple people can work in them and they don't get bogged down in all of those things. So, you know, the next thing we're working on, and Rich Lopez just is working with an external consulting firm to build out what we're calling product wheels, and really it's optimal sequencing for each of our production lines. So you start with a white dressing and move into your pink dressings, or you start with non-allergens and move into your allergens, so that you're doing less washes. So he has built all of that out in Quantrix. It's awesome. He blew the consultants away. They're probably gonna come knocking at your guys' door to be a customer of Quantrix. And you know, warehouse utilization, all of these predictive maintenance, all of these things are things on the list. And our list for Quantrix is way longer than this, but we just try to look for every opportunity to improve the visibility within the business for Quantrix. And I think that's all.